Sales, marketing, and RevOps. It's sink or swim out there, and yesterday's strategies and tactics won't help you today. This is Revenue Today, and I'm your host, Jared Robin. Join me as we interview revenue leaders in our community to learn what steps we could take right now to help you scale yourself and your company. Revenue Today is sponsored by RevGenius, and we're on a mission to bring inspiration and creativity to all revenue professionals in the world. Want to shout out our sponsor, Demandbase. Demandbase is smarter GTM for B2B brands. They help marketing and sales teams spot the juiciest opportunities earlier and progress them faster by injecting account intelligence into every step of the buyer journey and orchestrating every action. For more information about Demandbase, visit demandbase.com.
The next thing is, and I talked a little bit about this, I talked about, nurtures, and nurtures can be really powerful. And when I say nurtures, I'll clarify that, email nurtures. And the funny thing about email nurtures is, I think when done, right, they can be really effective. Prior to 6 Sense, I came from a spray and pray, type of mentality where it's, let's get everyone we possibly can. Let's run some nurtures. Maybe we will add, some content or some language in there that we think will resonate with a majority of the folks. And, it worked. I don't want to say it was unsuccessful. I don't think it was optimized or as successful as it could have been. But one of the things that we noticed, which was a clear indicator, was our unsubscribe rates were extremely high. And that was telling me that the value that we were providing, we weren't providing. So when we created, our nurture here at 6 Sense, we wanted to think about it differently. And we wanted to think about it and put ourselves in the position of our end users, the folks on the other end that were receiving this. What do they want to hear? What do they want to see? And I don't know about you, but I really enjoy engaging with my peers, like-minded folks that are passionate, that are, very aligned with, the same kind of responsibilities that I am within other organizations. So we came up with this approach where we leverage our internal personas. So our marketing leaders, our sales enablement leaders, our SOP leaders, our BDR leaders, and we worked with them to curate messaging. So we came up with a 5 to 6 email sequence that is written. They've written these emails. They're in their tone. They're in their voice. They're all value, all give. And all we're trying to do is build relationships. That at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build relationships because we want to make sure we're engaging with our peers in a way that is valuable. And what we've noticed is our unsubscribe rate is low. And that to me is a sign of there's value here. Like what we're doing and the way that we're going about this is different than how I've done things in the past. So when I talk about, peer-to-peer, like this is a great way when you tie this back to content syndication, is perhaps coming up with a nurture program that you can you can put those personas into that may have some type of approach like this, where it's coming from a fellow peer, it's building value, building relationship. There's no call to actions. Again, it's just all about building those relationships. So it's been a very successful program for us. And I don't think of it as a spray and pray. If everyone had the time to write these one by one, it's the same. The message would be the same. What we're doing is we're helping empower the team to be able to send these. And I should mention also that the emails come from the team, as do the responses go back to the team. So they are very engaged and, making sure that we stay true to that. So this is something that I think could easily be replicated within organizations, but, certainly one that, as you're thinking about your email nurture program, this is a great way to start to think about, what that might look like with, applying an approach like this. All right. So the last couple examples that I shared were really geared around where to start. So if you're starting from zero, define your ICP, define those qualifying criteria, right? Marketing and sales alignment, making sure from the top down there's alignment, and then that cascades down through the organization. Talking about our revenue operating model. Where does marketing start? Where does sales start? And what does that look like throughout this different stages, either pre-opportunity, active opportunity, post-opportunity? Content syndication, a great way to get started in an ABM world. Or if you're already living in an ABM environment, expanding your geos, expanding your TAM, if there's product expansion, leveraging this type of approach to then start to get in front of accounts that you may not historically have been able to get into. Peer-to-peer persona, right? So just thinking of a way to do email differently. Thinking about engaging with the right person at the right time with the right message. So those are what I would call sort of pre-qualified accounts, right? So those are kind of the things that you're doing, kind of leading up to, okay, an account's qualified, what do we do? So the next thing I want to talk to you about and leave you with today is an example of, one of the things that we experienced here. And, that is, when we were looking at, the pipeline in one of our segments, one of the things that we were noticing was in our segment, it was our fastest growing segment, our commercial segment, we were generating a ton of demand, which is a good thing, right? We were noticing that was increasingly becoming a larger proportion of our bookings. When we double clicked, like one of the things that we saw was we actually had a capacity problem. We had more opportunities or more qualified accounts than we did capacity to work those. So we had to come up with a play that was going to allow us to ensure that when these accounts are showing those buying signals, right, we're seeing that high level of intent. We're seeing that they're ready to engage, right? They've done their research. They're ready to, be engaged with, potential solutions. We want to be there for them. We want to be that solution provider. And we wouldn't have the capacity to be able to go and work all of those accounts. So the first thing we did was we started to brainstorm, like what can we do? How can we do this in a way where we're not putting additional lift on our BDR team, but in a way that's going to help augment this so we can insert them at the right time. So we came up with this play. We've kind of branded our 6QA automated cadence here internally. But what we're doing is we're using a series of technologies to streamline a process that allows us to take these accounts that have qualified, right? So they're in our ICP, they're 6QAs. We know, there's high intent there. They're engaging. So what we want to do is we want to ensure like these accounts are getting worked, right? So the first thing is we've identified those. The second thing is we want to make sure the account has enough contacts in there, right? If we know 10 to 20, are typically part of the buying committee, we want to make sure we've got that representation on the account. So the next thing we do is we go and we make sure we get those contacts. We acquire those contacts, whether that's through 6 Senses contact orchestration, or if you have other, data providers out there, make sure you've got full representation of what that account looks like. So when you're reaching out, you can be as effective as possible. In addition to that, we're enriching our data. So we're running overnight enrichment, making sure all of our account level detail is accurate, making sure any contact level detail that we need is being added on to those fields as well. And then the last thing we're doing is we're making sure that our persona mapping runs. So I talked a little bit about it in a couple in the previous slide, but That's where we look to the title, and we have a program that runs every night. And then based off that title comes back with a function and seniority value, which then that combination drives a persona for us. So we know what bucket to put it in, right? We know where those personas are going to live, right? Marketing, sales, operations. So now we can get extremely detailed, and we can put the right person in the right bucket so they get the right message. Now, I should also mention, when these emails go out, they're going out on behalf of our BDRs. So our BDRs can, insert themselves at any moment. So if someone engages, they can jump into the conversation. If someone is, showing maybe higher intent, and we're noticing they're on our website, or we're noticing, questions on LinkedIn maybe that they're asking, they can engage. But it's a way to help prioritize, these automations that are running, and then putting our team in a place where they can be as successful as possible. So all of this kind of runs, and this is kind of leading up to the actual send. We trigger this campaign or these cadences once they hit a certain day period, and then they run for X amount of time. And then the last thing I'll share is, if it doesn't get measured, it doesn't really matter, I guess. Everything that we do, we measure. So data is extremely important to us. Every campaign, we're measuring the effectiveness. So, this here is a great example. We're running the play. We've got a dashboard in Salesforce. We can see how many contacts we're engaging with, how many accounts we're engaging with, how many meetings that we've created. So it's been a great way for us to, build a program for capacity that allows our teams to continue to be effective, and give them the opportunity to jump into conversations, when the timing makes sense. So with that, I am going to wrap this up.
Whoa, another great episode of Revenue Today. For show notes, links, and mentions, visit revenuetoday.live. For all my friends in the RevGenius community, thank you. It's been awesome to spend this time with you. Please DM me any feedback and ideas in our Slack channel or on LinkedIn. If you're not in RevGenius, join us at revgenius.com. It's free and it only takes like 2 seconds, and you'll be joining a group of 27,000 revenue professionals strong. We've got it all. Looking forward to seeing you there. Catch you on the flip side.